So, Malcolm, when you're performing in a film like this and they're going for a particular era, particular period, what kind of instruction do you get, and how much of it do you, just because of your experience, intuit from the beginning about what you need to bring to the performance?
You know, a lot of times we really don't know what the music's going to be until we get to the session. And I didn't realize that. I just knew that there was some talk of having another trumpet player who had a lot of high profile come in and do that as a soloist. And the composer, Jerry Goldsmith, said, no, I don't want that. I don't. And I couldn't figure out why, because it seemed like it might be a jazzy sort of thing. But he says, I don't want too much of that. I want it to be, the trumpet would be the theme for all the police, the characters in there. It's because it's a strong statement, but not that much, you know, like Uan with this sensuous vibrato and stuff, not stylized, but more just a statement, you know. And then I got it after I saw the picture, you know, and very surprised. Like, it's very rare that we ever get our name on things like soundtracks. When they said, well, you're going to get a screen credit, you always say, oh, okay, sure, you know, but because it's the last thing in post-production is the music, and usually everything's made up by then, and it would really sort of go outside of the realm to get that changed, you know, so they don't usually do that.
So, but to have it in a critically acclaimed film like L.A. Confidential, does that make it all the sweeter?
Well, it's so great that it was Jerry Goldsmith, and the same one that did Chinatown, but he's always been so innovative and you know, with the musician's favorite, because, you know, he had such a great take on the cinematic thing, you know, he just knew it so well, and the ability to change on the spot and not have to make take after take and to realize you got it. You know, he just great ears. You know?
Well, and these are all the characteristics that also would describe the two of you. We're talking with the great trumpeters Uan Rasey and Malcolm McNab, and let's hear another example from Uan. This goes back to, again, the MGM golden years of the musicals. Uan, the lead trumpeter here on American in Paris.
That's when he asked for make that sensuous, and came back and gave me a kiss afterwards. You know?
Really? Wow.
Yeah, after that.
So, but technically, describe what it's like. Are you just sitting in a studio, just playing the music without any reference to what people are going to see on screen?
You try to do it as either a leader, or in this case, Gene Kelly, or Fred would want. You know, what Fred wouldn't speak up.
Who is this Fred? Who is this you're talking about?
Oh, you know, Astaire, you know.
Oh, Fred Astaire. Okay.
He was very quiet, you know. And so, but Gene was very open, had a good time. If he ought to add something, he could add something.
There's so much in that score, when the movie score, because there's just a lot of music. But you know, we're all familiar with the orchestral concert version, which is very easy to pick out. About in the middle, there's a great trumpet solo. That's the one he made famous in the first place.
Mm-hmm. So Malcolm, share with us what it's like. You go in to do work on a film now. Who's giving you the direction? What's that environment like?
Well, you get the information that what studio to go to, what time. Usually try to arrive at least a good margin ahead of time to allow for anything. Warm up, and then you see the music. That's the first time you see it, and usually we're set up facing a podium like traditional orchestra, and then up behind us is a big screen, or sometimes they use TV monitors these days. And for the music editor and the conductor and everyone behind the glass to be watching to see how that all works. But we're not supposed to look at the screen, really. I mean, we've heard it. We've been yelled at before. Say, if you want to see the movie, buy a ticket. You know.
But yet they're showing it on the screen, right? Because
they are, yeah.
Okay.
And you can see out of the corner of your eye. You got a few measures rest, and you can count up a few, and then you look behind you, and then you see, look who's on the screen there, but you're not supposed to, I guess.
So is that primarily for the benefit then of the music director as you're being conducted, or what is the purpose of
No,
having
usually we're following the conductor, usually the traditional thing with a baton and everything, but we also have a click track keeping everyone together, because in these large sound stages, the orchestra could be spread way out, and sometimes you can't really hear everybody, but just in the interest of keeping them together, everyone's getting a metronome in their earphones.
Okay.
To stay together. So we have that to go by, and then the counter of the measures, usually counter is displayed someplace so we can check on that if we have a lot of measures to count.
And versus
also the editor sits there, the music editor, and they'll say something you're not exactly on. You have to say a little faster here or something when they were conducting without the click tracks at times. Sometimes they wanted a rubato. They had to. Lonnie Prem very seldom, or Lenny Hayden very seldom ever used Hugo Friedhoff. Very seldom they want to conduct. It was different because it had more of a personal feeling to it without click tracks. It sounded a little more. How would you put it? Exacting.
Mm-hmm. And so you preferred it being without that and more spontaneous.
But depends who the conductor was. A good conductor could follow the timing well.
We're talking with Uan Rasey. He was the first trumpet on the great MGM soundtracks from the Golden Age, An American in Paris, Singing in the Rain, Gigi, West Side Story, My Fair Lady, Bye Bye Birdie, to name just a few. And those great trumpet, Strange from Chinatown, and the theme from that 1974 film. Malcolm McNab has performed in so many great Hollywood films as well. You also have a new CD that's out of your music, I understand.
Yes, just got it out just in this last month. It's called The Infinite Trumpet.
Yeah. And
it's my second CD. I only started making CDs in the last 6-7 years. I was thinking, when it comes to it, long after I'm gone, the kids and the grandkids, and we have these families go, well, what did Grandpa play? That scene where the car crashes and the baby gets killed. In the background, I don't really remember that, but yeah, I think I do. That sort of thing. So I wanted to have something with my own name on it, and it turns out I've been waiting for years that this doesn't happen. I had to build my own studio, do my own record label, arrange my own music, hire my own things, pay for everything myself. Finally, I got it going, and I'm on the second one, thinking about the next one.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is there still a lot of work available for someone like yourself with your reputation doing feature film or television work as trumpeter?
Well, I think it's limited, and there are places in the world where it is going on in the major cities, and Hollywood has always been the place, but it's not the only place anymore. Because of technology and everything, it's gone up. Other places, musicians are involved in it. So, it's competitive, really competitive. And, for people to come in now to think there's a great future in it, I don't think I could advise it. It's sort of iffy.
Well, at the height for you, when you were getting the most studio work, how many calls would you be getting in a typical month?
Well, it just varies a lot. But, I just look back over the years of 40 years of scores and what was done every year. I think the scores some place between 20 to 60 movies in a year, something like that. Each one might have anywhere from 1 to 6 or even 2 weeks days. That many days of a full orchestra. So some of them it take 2 weeks of scoring. Others, they could score the whole thing in a half a day, depending on the music. And every case is different, I think.
Uan Rasey, you've seen Hollywood films change so much. Just in closing,
yes.
Do you feel like we're really missing something, the era when you started performing in these films?
I think the orchestra was much closer. We enjoyed each other and had a passion to play, where nowadays there's such a little bit of music that people aren't as friendly, as close as they were years ago. At least I hear that from, because we enjoyed it, had a real passion for it, and you worked a lot of places. There's a lot more movie work, a lot more in those days, a lot more. Yeah.
All right, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Uan Rasey, the great trumpeter, Malcolm McNab, also with us on Air Talk. Film Week on Air Talk on 89.3 KPCC. Have a great weekend.